Okay, so today we're going to talk about what is PV. I know this is a huge question with new designers, and so it's even kind of confusing for all of us, so just want to try and explain it a little bit better. There's a couple different ways that you can think of personal volume or PV in order to clarify it in your mind. So whichever one of these makes sense to you, go with that. The actual meaning of PV is personal volume. So that's the term that Origami Owl uses. Another way you can remember it is your cost as a designer. A third term that you could think of it as is designer price. So essentially, if you pay 30% on an item, 70% is what you, or I'm sorry, 30% commission on an item, then 70% is your designer cost or what you pay. So that would be PV. And then the best way that I like to think of it is what Origami Owl makes on your sales. That's the easiest way for me to remember. So basically, if you sell $1,000 of lockets, then Origami Owl pays you 30% and they're left over with 70%. So that is what Origami Owl makes, and 700 would be the PV from that. So next we're going to just go over some different ways, but that is a good definition of PV. So everybody's big question is, how much do I need to make to meet my Soar to Success goal? Soar to Success requires that you get 500 PV in the first 30, 60, and 90 days. So what does that look like in a dollar amount? There is no real answer to that. That's because our commission rate varies from 30 to 50%. So I'm just going to show you based on my personal sales. Since we sell full lockets generally, and they are mixed with 30 and 50% off items, or items that we get 30 and 50% off of, our PV will vary. On a general locket that I sell, I have worked out that I get about 42%. So that is my price. So I will make, as a designer, 42% because it's mixed with the items of 30 and 50%. This varies because this is just my personal one, and this one will vary as well. So since I make 42% by deduction, Origami Owl is making 58%, which is the same as my PV, just like we had just talked about. So what that means is at those rates, about $858 in retail would be 501 PV. And that's at that 58% Origami Owl makes rate. So that is just a general kind of rule that you could maybe shoot for if those were your sales. But again, if you're selling all charms, you would need to sell like $1,000 in order to get that 500 PV. But we'll talk about that in the next one. The last way we're going to try and explain this is just breaking down your sales and what happens when you make sales, especially according to your PV. So we know that on charms, stamp plates, and dangles, we make a commission of 50%. So when we make a commission of 50%, Origami Owl also makes 50%, the remaining 50%. So let's just say we were to sell $1,000 retail of charms, stamp plates, and dangles alone. In that case, we would make $500, and Origami Owl would make $500 as well, and that equates to our PV. So in order to make Soar to Success, if you were solely selling charms, stamp plates, and dangles, you would need to make $1,000 in sales in order to hit that goal. And then lastly, let's just explain here the lockets, chains, earrings, window plates, basically everything else that we don't make 50% on, we make a 30% commission rate. So when we make 30%, Origami Owl makes 70%. So again, if we were to sell $1,000, we would make, as designers, $300 of that, and Origami Owl would make $700 of that, which would also be our PV. So in order to do your Soar to Success goal, you would need this PV number to be 500 for your first 30, 60, and 90 days. So in the case that you were only selling lockets, chains, earrings, and window plates, etc., you would need to sell $715, which would equate with your 30% of that would be $214, and then that would be $500 going to Origami Owl and your PV. So obviously you're not going to sell, so in that case you would need to make $715 selling only these things just to meet your store of success. Obviously neither of these situations are going to happen, but I just hope that just breaking it down this way really helps you understand where the PV comes from. It's kind of a confusing term, so hopefully this just helps you as you try to reach your store of success goals.